Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Eric Fright Show's YouTube channel. I just got back from seeing The Strangers Chapter 1 in the theater, and I want to do a review on it for all of you. My name is Eric Fright, and I like to talk about all things in the horror community. If you are also a horror fan, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified when my new videos drop. The Strangers Chapter 1 is a remake of the 2008 movie that was starred Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman. The new version stars Madeleine Petsch and Foy Gutierrez and was directed by Renny Harlin, who also directed one of my other favorite movies, A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Like, super random, but just wanted to put it out there because I was excited to see that he also directed that. So the official plot for The Strangers Chapter 1 from IMDb is, I'm going to read. After their car breaks down in an eerie small town, a young couple is forced to spend the night in a remote cabin. Panic ensues as they are terrorized by three masked strangers who strike with no mercy and seemingly no motive. Now, this movie was released on May 17th, and the critics and other movie reviewers have already been putting things out there, and what I had seen before I even went to see this movie was mostly bad reviews. And I want to say, I really didn't think it was that bad, to be honest. I had a really good viewing experience and overall liked the movie, but I'll get into a little bit more detail. That's not going to be a spoiler review, but enough to kind of give my opinion on it. I do think there were issues with it, but there were reviews out there like this was like a 1 out of 10, a 1 out of 5, like just really like dogging the hell out of this movie. And there's just no... It wasn't warranted for that. I don't think it was better or matched with the 2008 original Strangers film, but in no way was it like the piece of dog crap that people are trying to say it was. I think it's still a really good movie, and that's where I want to start. I want to start with what I liked about it. So for me, I really loved that it was like an Airbnb this time. Now, I haven't seen the 2008 film The Strangers in many years. I remember a lot of it, but I don't remember every single detail. So I'm sure there's things that I missed that were similar in this movie even more than what I'm going to even discuss. But for me, I loved the Airbnb part of this movie because as someone who, my husband and I go on these trips, we stayed Airbnbs, it hit really close to home, especially because just a couple weeks ago I just was in an Airbnb. Thank fucking God that I did not go to see this. This movie was not released when we were there because it would have been a much more terrifying experience just because it would have been more fresh on the brain. But I love the Airbnb edition, and I really thought that Petsch and Gutierrez did a really good job at not only portraying a believable real-life couple of 5 years, but also once everything starts to happen, they seem to really portray the fear and terror that comes with what their characters are experiencing. And I had seen other reviewers say that there was no chemistry between them. I disagree. I think that they had really good chemistry. If you, as someone who's been together for 5 years, they are not in the honeymoon phase anymore. They're past that. So you're not going to get what you get from those initial, like, first few months when we mostly see couples in horror movies that are, like, not in love, but they pretend to be. This is very different. They've been together for 5 years. As someone who's been in a long-term relationship, I could see a lot of similarities between that couple and my own relationship. So I thought they did a really good job with that. Now I want to talk about the setting that this movie takes place in. It's in a town called Venus, Oregon. And just to set the context, it's a population of like a little over 400 people that live there. And you know, again, not going into a lot of detail, they do make a stop at this diner where they're interacting with townfolk, and it's very unwelcoming. And it's what you would think, like as someone from the Northeast, it's exactly what you think of Middle America, like it's somewhere like in the middle of nowhere. And I definitely found myself very uncomfortable watching this couple from the city, and when they say the city, I'm going to assume New York, interact with these townfolk that are very unwelcoming and don't want them there. I thought they did a really good job at portraying that too, because I've been in other parts of the United States that are very much like that. And especially for, you know, me and my husband, you got to be a little careful. So when you are an outsider in these situations, even that, with like remove the strangers and the horror aspect, that has its own horror in itself. So that was a really good job at that. So let me just look down here at my notes for a minute, because I will ramble forever, and if I don't have a little structure for you guys, we're just gonna turn into like a 45-hour movie of me just rambling. So moving on to the actual house where the events of the movie take place. Definitely not what I was thinking of when they explain, like, do you see the town, and like it's a little town in the middle of nowhere. The house is isolated in the middle of the woods. The owner uses it when he's hunting, but when he's not hunting off season, he rents it out to people. That to me sounds like it's just like, let's get use the Airbnb thing because they heard about it, and that you're gonna go stay in this like rundown cabin. It really was a beautiful house, and I remember there's a scene where Madeline's character is going to take a shower, and for me, I'm like, this shower is not believable. Like, it was so updated. Like, it was a beautiful shower. I was like, there's no fucking way that this is what it would really be like. Again, I've stayed in these Airbnbs. I've stayed in ones that were like really, maybe it's just me, I don't have money, I don't know. But again, this house didn't seem like it would be worth that much the way they were describing it. It just didn't seem believable. But it does set the tone to isolate our characters from the rest of the town to begin this terrorizing events that the strangers start with them, which is where I think this becomes the muddy part of the movies. If I will say this, if you have seen the 2008 movie, it's a very similar, the rest of this movie plays out very similarly, with the exception of a little varying parts of it. So without going into a lot of detail, it does do most of the same kind of thing with a little bit of a twist here and there. But that's not to say it's not an enjoyable viewing experience, because again, I think that Pesh and Gutierrez give amazing performances, and the strangers, okay, so the three strangers themselves, for me, they just weren't as menacing. I don't know why. They just didn't give me enough fear of being terrorized by these three people. It just didn't fully go there. I did get there were some jump scares that the one jump scare really got me, and I was so embarrassed because I was in the theater by myself and my whole body shook, and there was no one in the row with me, but I think there was a guy behind me that probably saw it, but whatever. But yeah, I think that there was a lot more jump scares in this one than in the original. And in the original, I remember those moments where like you would see the guy or see the stranger, something would happen that it wasn't a jump scare, but it was one of those moments in horror that your blood runs cold, like you just get those goosebumps all over your body. There wasn't enough of those scenes. And for me, when you're thinking of like home invasions, you don't need jump scares. You need those moments of pure terror. And I think that this movie was missing a lot of those parts. But I will say that this movie, again, is a reimagining remake of the 2008 film. So it's also the beginning. It's chapter 1 of 3. So it's a trilogy. And so in order to start this trilogy over, the trailer itself says, witness how the strangers became the strangers, which you would think would be a prequel, but it really pretty much mirrored the 2008 film. But regardless of it, you have to go back to the beginning, strip it down, and restart to tell the story. So those of you that are mad that it's like kind of a watered down version of the original. So the originals, it's always going to be the best. It's so hard that these movies that come out with reimaginings or remakes ever surpass the originals. We got to get over it. We got to go in there with the mindset of, we're going to know a lot that's happening. We're going to know something that's not going to happen. There's going to be changes we like. There's going to be changes we don't like. Overall, the movie did a really good job at setting the tone and bringing us all up to speed on what the strangers are and what happened in that film, to set us up for the next one and hopefully the one after that. I'm still really excited for chapter 2 and probably chapter 3. I think it's going to, I think the next one's going to be something way better, because we have no idea what to expect, because this one we knew what to expect. So we had our guns blazing, ready to like tear it down. But I think we're being a little too hard on it, and we should really give it the respect it deserves and get ready for chapter 2, which is going to have like all of the other things thrown out the window because we have no idea what's to come. So my rating for The Strangers chapter 1 is a 4 out of 5 stars. If you haven't already gone to see The Strangers chapter 1, it is still playing right now in theaters. Go check it out. Come back, drop a comment. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, and if you agree with this review or not. But that is it for this video. And again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for when new videos drop. Until next time, bye.